Hi, I'm Mark Reyland, and welcome to The Road to Inventing. This is the basic core course for people who have a great idea and think that they want to take the product to market or commercialize their invention. In order to do that, you have to first know a little bit about where you are. You see, the inventing industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It includes a lot of people you probably didn't think about. Mathematicians, biologists, industrial inventors, chemists, manufacturing inventors, government inventors, computer scientists, and yes, product inventors. But most individuals think product inventing is the inventing industry, when in fact it's really just the bottom left-hand corner of the big picture. If we had to assign a shape to the inventing industry, we would assign a pyramid. That pyramid means that we are a come-or-take-all industry. Anyone who wants to can have a great idea, jump out of the shower, towel off, run downstairs and yell, "Honey, I'm an inventor." And who's going to argue with them? No one. After all, everyone has the right to call themselves an inventor. We have no bowling jacket or secret handshake, no formal education. We just proclaim ourselves that. So what sets us apart? Well, what really sets us apart is our willingness to work. You see, many people have ideas, they enter the bottom of the pyramid, but they never progress from there. The ones that progress into being an accomplished professional inventor are those who are willing to do the work it takes to self-educate on how this process works and how best to achieve your goal. There's three people we need to really concern ourselves with in this business: innovators, inventors, and product developers. An innovator is one who presents a hypothesis or a theory. An inventor is one who then proves that hypothesis or theory. And a product developer is one who, through the learned skills of engineering and design, transforms the proof of that hypothesis into a commercially viable product. Then there's three questions. These are the three questions we always have to start every invention with. One, will it work? Because if we don't prove it works, we just innovated. We just came up with an idea. But if we're going to call ourselves inventors, we have to take on the responsibility for ensuring that our idea actually works. So will it work? Then, will anyone care? We like it. We're excited about it. But will anyone else really care? And then, will there be enough of those people who do care, willing to give you money for the solution you came up with to their problem? You'd be amazed at how many inventions die on question number 3. Sure, they work, and sure, there are people who care, just not enough of them who are willing to pay to support a commercially viable market. There are a few things you should know about the process of inventing. Before you get started, you need to settle into these concepts. Your family and friends will lie to you. They will lie like a rug. Not because they don't like you, but because they love you and they want to support you. This is a business of failure. If you can't come to terms with the fact that you're more likely to fail than you are to succeed, you shouldn't be doing this. Because even seasoned professionals fail far more than we succeed. You must know where you're going if you ever expect to get there. That means take some time to understand where you are and what you want out of this process. Then set a goal for yourself and walk towards it. A product is simply a wrapper for a functional solution. If you haven't watched the video series on functional solutions, you probably should. But in a nutshell, basically you're solving a problem and you're expecting someone to pay you for your solution. In order to do that effectively, you have to understand the functional parts of that solution. And education in this process is your responsibility. It's not mine. It's not the person next to you. It's yours. If you want to succeed, you have to take the onus to educate yourself on how this is done. So, assuming you do all that, and we want to get started, we're going to do 5 basic steps. We're going to answer those 3 questions we just talked about very honestly. We're going to understand the core function of our invention. We're going to conduct a market audit. Now, a market audit isn't rocket science. You're simply looking at all the products currently being offered to the consumer that will solve that problem, and you're looking at how yours compares. You're going to conduct an intellectual property search. This does not mean that you've got to go down and pay someone to do this for you. You're looking at the patent searches, you're looking at Google patents, you're looking at the internet, and you're searching the web for patents that may apply to yours. 1, because you want to see if any patent protection may be available for your product, but 2, because you want to ensure you're not infringing on someone else. And step number 5, I can't stress it enough. You have to study. You have to find the resources available to you so that you can become a master of your craft. Once you've reached those things, we have to make a decision. No one gets to avoid this decision. I don't care how long you've been doing this. You have to now decide, because you've invented something, you have something that the world needs, whether you want to license that something to a company who's already in that space, or you want to get into that widget business. This is the proverbial fork in the road that no inventor ever gets to avoid. So what are they? In licensing, we're licensing a product or an invention or an innovation or technology, basically renting it or leasing it to a company who's already in that space. I've come up with a great kitchen product, and instead of getting into the kitchen product business myself, I'm going to allow a kitchen product company to use my invention in exchange for royalties. That's all licensing is. Manufacturing, on the other hand, that's a lot of work. I've never seen anyone fail or go broke inventing. I've seen a lot of people go broke entrepreneuring. And entrepreneuring is what happens when you want to get into manufacturing. It means that you're no longer inventing, that you have decided to build a business around this invention of yours. That means that you have to put up the money, you have to put up the risk, and you have to put up the competitive edge that it's going to be required to gain that much sought after retail space. That's a hard road to go. I've seen people do it successfully. I've seen far more fail. Think very closely about licensing or manufacturing depending on your particular circumstance. No one can answer that question but you. But you need to know you can't do both of them simultaneously. So at the end of the day, you're going to have to choose one or the other. There are some potholes in this road. The number 1 pothole in the road to inventing? Lack of knowledge. Take time to learn your craft. Take time to learn how things are done. Take time to learn what you need and don't need. That's really, really important that you arm yourself with that education. But closely behind that is the lack of a great idea. Just because you think it's a great idea doesn't mean it actually is. You're pretty emotionally vested in it. The 3rd big pothole, it's a lack of reality. If you're coming up against the same answer over and over again, talking to people who've done this, and that isn't the answer you want to hear, you need to be realistic about what you're being told. There are some things on the road to inventing that you should never do. And this is very important, so listen up. You should never hire consultants without checking them out first. Remember, we're a come-or-take-all industry. That means anyone who wants to can be an inventor. But anyone who wants to can be a consultant to an inventor as well. So, by choosing the people carefully that you want to work with, you're going to save yourself a lot of heartache. Don't pay people to send your ideas to As Seen on TV companies. As Seen on TV product inventing is a huge part of the industry, and it's a great part of the industry. But there are a lot of people out there that for a fee or for a part of your royalty will get you into places they claim you can't get yourself. That's simply not true. The As Seen on TV companies who take products to market from inventors are all very, very approachable. There's no reason to pay anyone to take your product to one of those companies. Don't use sources like Quirky or Aha. These are crowdsourcing sites. They're not crowdfunding sites. They're crowdsourcing sites. The reason that that's so important is that inventing at the end of the day is not a team sport. So when you put your idea out on one of these crowdsourcing sites and somebody makes a suggestion, years later your product gets to the market and that person sees it, everybody's going to end up in court. It's just not worth it. Don't patent an idea or an invention that you don't have a commercialization plan on. You've heard of business plans? Well, commercialization plan is the same thing. Sit down and take the time to figure out how you're going to get money back on this invention before you spend a penny on a patent. Don't forget to read the Inventor Protection Act. Many inventors work with these invention submission companies. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but the Inventor Protection Act of 1999 protects you in working with these companies, gives you a set of rights, and you should be aware of them. Don't post your ideas on YouTube or inventor forums or anywhere else. This is generally considered public disclosure and can certainly affect your patent rights. Don't approach retailers until you know what you're doing. That's really important because if you ever get into a retailer, you've got one shot. That's it, one shot. And if you get in there and you don't know what you're doing, they're going to smell that all over you, and you'll never get back in. The road to inventing is an awesome journey. It's really an exciting place to be, but you'll have a better time on the road to inventing if you take the time to prepare yourself.